A baseline game featuring a heavy serve, heavy ground strokes, and the ability to dictate points from the back of the court.
Welcome back to the absolute apex of high-stakes corporate tennis analysis. If you are tuning into the mainstream broadcast networks to watch the Indian Wells round of 16, you are being sold a heavily sanitized, artificially sweetened narrative. The commentators are going to look at the upcoming matchup Indian Wells upcoming matchup between Alexa and Linda Nosková upcoming matchup Nosková, and they're going to call it a clash of rising stars. They're going to use words like fairy Nosková, fairy tale, dream, music, run, and XI fairy, dream run, and exciting youth movement. Dream run and exciting movement. They want you to believe that this is just a friendly competitive stepping stone for two young girls living out their childhood movement, their childhood fantasies in the California desert. That is not just a lie. It is a fundamental catastrophic misunderstanding of the ruthless macroeconomic forces currently tearing the WTA tour apart. Music, you are not about to watch a fairy tale. You are about to witness a brutal, unforgiving boardroom liquidation. You are about to watch two apex predators, representing two entirely different heavily corporate tennis infrastructures, walk into a steel cage to determine who gets to monopolize the future of the sport's baseline economy. When Eala steps onto the court to face the 20-year-old Czech phenom Linda Nosková, she is not playing for atrophy. She is playing for absolute, unadulterated market dominance. And the loser of this match will be violently relegated to the margins of the global attention economy. To fully comprehend the sheer magnitude and the terrifying stakes of this specific matchup, we must first conduct a complete forensic audit of the opponent. Linda Nosková is not merely a tennis player. She is the latest, most highly optimized product rolling off the assembly line of the most ruthlessly efficient tennis manufacturing plant on the planet, the Czech Republic system. The Czech tennis infrastructure does not produce artists. It produces terminators. It is a highly organized state-backed corporate machine designed to mass-produce tall, a lethal, flat-hitting baseline assets that completely overwhelm the opposition through sheer unadulterated kinetic violence. Nosková is the crown jewel of this current manufacturing cycle. At 5 foot 10 inch, 5'10", she possesses a physiological and biomechanical advantage that allows her to generate devastating leverage on her ground strokes. She does not play tennis to score points. She plays tennis to end them abruptly, violently, and without a single ounce of empathy for the player on the other side of the net. She is a walking, breathing, hostile takeover attempting to violently disrupt the establishment. Music. We are not talking about a player who simply has potential. We are talking about an asset with a proven, historically documented track record of executing massive corporate assassinations on the biggest stages in the world. Look at her operational history. The Grand Music Slam stage came in the 2024 Australian Open, and where she stunned the music tennis world by defeating world number Tuga Swiatek. Let's sink in for a moment. She stunned the tennis world by defeating world number 2 Iga Swiatek at the Australian Open. Iga Swiatek is not just a player. She is a global monopoly. She is a multi-million-dollar defensive fortress that most players simply accept they cannot breach. When the vast majority of the WTA Tour draws, they mentally pack their bags and prepare for a 60-minute liquidation. Nova drew a South in Melbourne, looked directly into the eyes of the establishment, and pulled the trigger without a fraction of a second of hesitation. That victory was not a fluke. It was a massive neon-lit declaration to the entire global sports economy that Nosková possesses the psychological psychosis required to bankrupt the tier assets of the sport. Music. You cannot teach that kind of cold-blooded execution. IT requires a fundamental lack of respect for the hierarchy, a deeply ingrained belief that the legacy players are nothing more than decaying assets waiting to be pushed off the ledger. This level of ruthless aggression has fueled one of the most violently rapid ascensions in the modern history of the sport. In the corporate world, you evaluate an asset based on its year-over-year growth and its ability to aggressively capture market share in a highly saturated environment. Novastar's trajectory is the definition of hypergrowth. And like Eala, Nosková music, for 44 minutes, 9 seconds, has us been a fast riser, becoming the youngest player in the WTA top, music 2 and 10 then breaking into the top 50 just a year later. This is not a slow, methodical and then slow, methodical climb. This is an algorithmic scaling operation. Nova bypassed the traditional, grueling initiation period for Ms. Low, methodical period of 4 newts, 33 seconds of period of 4 seconds of the Pro Tour. While other players were spending years grinding in the miserable, low-budget ITF circuit, begging seconds off circuit, begging for points and fighting off financial ruin, Nova simply kicked down the front door of the top 50 and demanded a seat in the boardroom. Shah circuit, begging she has already captured a WTA title. She has already tasted the rarefied air of the world's top 15. She arrives at Indian She has at Indian Wells not as a challenger, hoping for a good result, but as a fully vested stakeholder, expecting to secure a 5 minutes, 3 seconds massive at Indian 5 minute, 3 second massive dividend. She operates with the overwhelming, suffocating arrogance of a player who knows exactly how much damage her physical toolkit can inflict. Let us break 5 minute, 3 second massivius break down the exact biomechanical mechanism of that damage. Because understanding Nosková's physical profile is the only way to understand the terrifying geometric puzzle, music Thetis break, music that Alex Eala is being forced to solve. Nova's game is built entirely around low margin music, that margin, high velocity margin, velocity ball striking a velocity, a heavy serve, H, a serve and Devi ground stroke serve and ground strokes dictating points from the back of the court. When we talk about heavy ground strokes in the context of the Czech tennis ground strokes Czech tennis factory, we are talking about a very specific type of ball trajectory, Nosková Czech tennis trajectory. Nosková hits a remarkably flat ball. She does not use extreme tops trajectory. Nosková topspin in to loop the ball safely over the net. She drives the ball directly through the court, cutting topspin court, cutting off the angles, robbing her opponents of precious milliseconds of reaction time. In the dry, thin, abrasive court, cutting thin, abrasive air of the California desert, a flat, heavy ball acts like a kinetic missile. It does not sit up and wait to thin, abrasivedo be hit. Music, it skids violently through the strike zone. If you are a fraction of a second late on your footwork, if your racket preparation is delayed by a single millimeter, Nosková sto by millimeter, Nosková's pace will shatter your defensive structure, forcing you into a humiliating cascade of unforced errors she millimeter, Nosková's errors. She's designed to make you feel rushed, panicked, errors. She rushed, panicked, and entirely inadequate. She is a high-frequency rushed, panicked, high-frequency trading algorithm, executing frequency algorithm, executing trades faster than your central nervous system can process the information. So, how does Alex Eala, a player who does not possess the same raw algorithm, executing same raw, overwhelming height and flat kinetic power, survive this onslaught? Same raw onslaught? How does the Filipina prodigy stop the Czech Terminator from simply blasting her off the court and ending this so-called fairy tale in straight sets? Onslaught. Sets? The answer lies in the deep, dark, heavily classified archives of their shared history. This is where the mainstream media completely drops the ball. They look at the current rankings, they dark, heavily rankings, they look at the recent results, and they assume this is a blank slate. But professional tennis at this elite level is deeply, fundamentally psychological. Rankings, they psychological. It is a game of ghosts, traumas, and unpaid debts. And Alex, music, holds a psychological monopoly over Linda Nosková's 7 MIP psychological. It Nosko for 7 newts, 28 seconds at D Nosko for 7 seconds, which dates back almost a decade. Nosková are no strangers, music, Toscans, which and music are no strangers each other. Thand music are no strangers. The Filipina beat Nosková twice during their junior careers. Let us stop and forensically examine this, because it is the absolute fulcrum upon which this entire Indian Wells quarterfinal hinges, Inter Junior hinges. In 2018 at Les As hinges. In Les Asses, the most prestigious high-stakes Les Asses, high-stakes junior tournament on the planet. A tournament high-stakes A tournament that operates as the A tournament is the ultimate proving ground for future global superstars. EA liquidates Nosková, Then 2 years later, on the red clay of Paris at the French Open Junior Nosková. Then juniors as quarterfinals when the stakes were even higher. WH juniors and in the global scouting agencies were watching their every move. EA did it again. Agencies were systematically dismantled the Czech powerhouse. Do you understand the compounding understand the compounding ecological debt? Music, that the compounding that it treats? Do you understand the absolute terror that is permanently hardwired into Noskova's brain? Music, when Nosková looks across the net at Indian Wells, she is not just seeing the current world number 32. She is seeing the ghost of her own childhood failures. She is seeing the one player who proved on the biggest developmental stages in the world that raw flat power is completely failures. She's completely useless against elite geometric intelligence. You do not just forget those losses. You carry them with you. They fester in the back of your mind. Completely your mind. They create microscopic fractures in your self-belief. Every time Nova steps up to hit a critical break point against your mind, point against Eala, her subconscious is going to drag her right back to the red dirt of Paris. Eala does not just own the baseline, point against the baseline. She owns real estate inside Nosková's head. And at the round of 16 of a WTA 1000 event, where the margins between victory and defeat are thinner than a razor blade, that historical
Nosková are no strangers to each other. The Filipina beat Nosková twice during their junior careers, including
psychological leverage is worth its weight in solid gold. EA's tactical blueprint margins between tactical blueprint for this match is a masterclass in hostile psychological warfare. Music Eala is a product of the Rafa Nadal Academy, an institution, the tactical blueprint institution, that does not just teach you how to hit a tennis ball. It teaches you how to weaponize music suffering. Eala knows that Nosková's flat, aggressive power relies institution, that power relies entirely on rhythm, perfect timing, and a compliant target. EA power relies SS entire objective is to become the most uncooperative, yes, most uncooperative, mathematically frustrating asset on the court. She's not going to try to hit through Nosková, that most uncooperative Nosková. That would be corporate suicide. You do not fight a tank with a pistol. Instead, Nosková. EA is going to use her elite heavy top SP instead. Spinen to fundamentally alter the geometry of the baseline exchanges. She's going to hit the ball deep, high and heavy, complete pin heavy, completely neutralizing the strike zone that Nosková desperately music needs to flatten out her shots. A heavy, completely EAA is going to turn this match from a high-speed sprint into EA sprint into a brutal, lung-burning sprint into burning, lactic acid-inducing burning, inducing war of attrition in the desert heat. Think about the physiological and psychological toll this takes on a player and a single player like Nosková. When you are a power player, your entire identity, your entire corporate valuation of player valuation, is built on the belief that your best shot will simply end the point. What happens when you hit your best shot? A massive 100 miles per hour flat forehand down the line, and the ball simply comes back. What happens when you hit a second massive shot and it comes back again higher, deeper, and heavier? Panic sets in. The algorithm begins, and the ball algorithm begins to glitch. Nova will be forced to hit 3, 4, algorithm begins 4, or of extra balls every single rally. The heavy desert air and the abrasive hard court 4, or on the abrasive hard court will begin to drain her physical reserves. Her legs will get heavy. Her back swing, the abrasive hard court backswing will tighten. And exactly at the moment when physical exhaustion meets the deeply ingrained psychological trauma of those junior defeats, the unforced errors will begin when physical will begin to cascade. Eala is the ultimate distressed asset investor. She does not force the market to crash. She simply waits patiently, perfectly positioned while the opponent bankrupts themselves through sheer frustration and tactical stubbornness. Furthermore, we must address the macroeconomic environment surrounding this specific match. Indian Wells is the must-address, not a fifth Grand Slam. It is the absolute epicenter of the global tennis economy outside of the four majors. The billionaires are sitting in the luxury suites. The global brand directors from Nike, the absolute from Nike, Rolex, and Porsche are watching closely, evaluating which of these young assets is worth a multi-million-dollar decade-long investment. Advancing to the quarterfinals here is not just about ranking points. It is a decade-long permanent shift in a player's global brand equity. If Linda Nosková wins, she validates the Czech factory model. She proves that her victory over Swiatek global brand Sutek was not an anomaly. Not anomaly but the new standard operating procedure. She solidifies her status as the apex predator of the next gen. But next generation. Alex all next generation, a lot of wins. The geopolitical ramifications are absolutely staggering. Eala is not just representing herself. She is the sole undisputed monopolistic entity representing the entire nation of the Philippines. And it's incredibly massive, hyper-engaged, not just massive, hyper-engaged, highly capitalized global diaspora. We're talking about a demographic of over 110 million people, 12 massive, hyper-engaged, 42 seconds who treat every single match Eala plays as a matter of absolute national security. When Eala steps onto stadium court, she who is stadium court brings with her an army that completely hijacks the acoustic environment of the venue. The crowd at Indian Wells will not be neutral, will the stadium court. It will be a localized, deafening version of Manila. Nosková is used to playing in quiet, sterile European environments. She is going to walk into a wall of sound, a relentless, vibrating pressure cooker designed to isolate her, intimidate her, and force her central nervous system into a state of perpetual panic. Every double fault will be cheered. Every unforced error will be met with a roar that shakes the concrete. Eala leverages this crowd not as a distraction, but as a highly weaponized corporate shield. She draws energy from it, music metabolizing the pressure of 100 million people and converting it into an absolute cold-blooded 13-minute, 3-second execution on the court. The mainstream media will try to tell you that Linda Nosková is the favorite because of her ranking and her explosive power. The casual fans will look at her victory over Swiatek and assume that Eala's dream run is about to be violently terminated. Let them believe the surface-level statistics. True operators, the people who actually understand the ruthless business of professional sports, know that the statistics are meaningless when confronted with historical trauma, geometric superiority, music, and the crushing weight of a mobilized global market. Eala has already proven that she can absorb the power of Coco Gauff, forcing the American superstar into algorithmic bankruptcy. She has already proven that her teeth, the bigger the stage, the more lethal her tactical adjustments become. Nosková thinks she is walking into a standard tennis match against a rising star. In reality, she is walking blindly into a meticulously designed, psychologically devastating trap that was set 6 years ago on the junior courts of France. The baseline belongs to the player who can control the risk. The future of the sport belongs to the player who can weaponize the geometry of the court while managing the immense suffocating pressure of the global attention economy. Eala is not a fairy tale, a highly calibrated, state-of-the-art corporate machine designed to dismantle the legacy power structures of the WTA Tour piece by piece. The boardroom doors are locked, the audit has begun, and Linda Nosková is about to find out exactly what happens when your physical power is rendered entirely obsolete by uncompromising monopolistic intelligence. Welcome to the brutal, unforgiving reality of tennis paradise. The hostile takeover continues right